A busy time lately for today's events, the third in 21 days, and it's going to be a critical one in the 14-race World Championship Series. For with the Dutch Grand Prix due to start in moments on the sweeping 2.6-mile circuit amidst the sand dunes of Zandvoort, only 200 metres from the North Sea, 6 men still have a mathematical chance to become the 1980 World Champion with 4 races to go. Alan Jones has an 11-point lead over Brabham's Nelson Piquet, 9 points for a win, remember. Jones's Saudi Leyland teammate Carlos Reutemann in third place is only 2 points ahead of Ligier's Jacques Laffite, and René Arnoux and Didier Pironi could still beat any of the others. In practice this year, as last, René Arnoux in the Renault's been fastest, some 2 seconds inside the lap record, with his teammate Jean-Pierre Jabouille second. Then Reutemann third fastest, Jones fourth, Piquet fifth and Laffite sixth, with just over 2 seconds covering all 24 starters. Starters which include 3 British drivers for a pleasant change. McLaren's John Watson, who had a nasty crash in practice, new boy Nigel Mansell, a superb 16th fastest in his Lotus, and Jeff Lees in the Unipart Ensign. So there is the lineup down on the grid. There is Alan Jones and here is James Hunt.
Well, Alan Jones has had a wonderful season so far. Things have run well for him. He's been consistent, he's picked up the results, he's made no mistakes apart from his rather disastrous Argentinian Grand Prix when he made 3 mistakes and then lucked out and won the race. Since then he's been clear and he's run very consistently, as in fact has Nelson Piquet, who is running a strong second in the World Championship at the moment by dint of great reliability. They've only won 1 race, but Alistair Corbell's arrival at the Brabham team has got their reliability really sorted out, and Nelson's taking advantage of that. He's driven intelligently and picked up the points wherever he could.
Well, the warm-up lap completed. 72 laps, that's 190 miles to go around this demanding Zandvoort circuit, which can be very slippery because of sand. In the front, Arnoux and Jabouille. Behind them, Jones and Reutemann. The engine revs rise, the weather's good. And it's a good, clean start. And look at Alan Jones on the right. He's punched through to second position. He's ahead of Jabouille. Laffite has slotted in behind him. And Jones is challenging Arnoux as they go round Tarzan. In fact, Jones has driven right round the outside of Arnoux, and he leads with Laffite third, Reutemann fourth, and Jean-Pierre Jabouille in fifth place, and they're all away cleanly.
Well, Alan Jones has certainly started with the confidence of a World Championship leader. He drove a really spectacular piece of aggressive driving round the outside of Arnoux from at least a length behind him going into the first corner. He's come out clear and he's now really jumping away into the lead, which he needs to do, because the power of the Renault, when they get to the main straight, will take him past Alan Jones from anywhere as far as 30 yards behind him. Alan Jones has already got just about that, and he'll need it and the rest to keep ahead. That's what he's got to do. He's got to get clear on the first lap so that Arnoux can't come storming past him on the straight.
Jones leads with under 500 horsepower, Arnoux second with over 500 horsepower, Laffite third, Reutemann fourth, and Jean-Pierre Jabouille is in fifth place, chased by Nelson Piquet, who is sixth. Round sky black at the end of lap 1, Alan Jones leads. Streaming down this 180 mile an hour top straight, Alan Jones has pulled out a lead over René Arnoux. Then it's Laffite. Villeneuve in the background is coming up to take Bruno Giacomelli in the Scarlet Alfa Romeo. And Carlos Reutemann is well up. He's in 4th position behind Jacques Laffite 3rd. This is lap 2 as they go round towards the Hugenholtz, the left-hander, and there it is. And Jones roams very wide over the curbing there. Alan Jones onto the Hugenholtz, and into the pits comes Hector Ribarque, the Mexican driver.
And here we see the start again. Now, if we watch Alan Jones, who's the second car on the right, behind the yellow one, just moving sharply to the right now. He made a good start. He's going round Jabouille. Meanwhile, on the far left of your picture at the front, there's Nelson Piquet making a good start. But Reutemann there cuts in front of him, causing Piquet to brake and destroying what he's done. Now, Jones is over a length behind Arnoux here as they go into the corner, and he just doesn't come onto the brakes as hard. He attempts to go round the outside, and it's really aggressive stuff. Look at that. Look at Jones sliding now as he comes out of the corner, fighting his way to the front. A really, really brilliant, confident start. I just hope that he hasn't messed it up, because as we saw just now on lap 2, he went over a curb there, and he may have damaged the car, and it looked like an error of concentration. He didn't need to go over it.
Back on lap 2 out of 72, and look, the gap between Jones the leader and René Arnoux second and Laffite third has closed right up. Is Jones in trouble, or is Arnoux speeding up? Arnoux challenging. And what a terrific scrap behind them. Jabouille challenging for 4th place in the second of the Turbo Renaults, challenging Carlos Reutemann. And he's through. And Villeneuve well up, Giacomelli well up, coming through to the end of the second lap. Now this is the 180-mile-an-hour straight, and we look down from the helicopter and look at the 4 of them absolutely together, and Jones is peeling off. Jones is going into the pits, and there's a new leader. It's René Arnoux.
Look at this not coming down now.
It's Arnoux, Laffite is second, Jabouille is third, with Carlos Reutemann driving round the outside of him on Tarzan, and there's 5 of them all together. Then there's Villeneuve and Piquet, and into the pits comes Alan Jones, gesticulating at the right-hand side of his car.
Yes, Jones seems to have damaged the skirt. He was pointing at the skirt, and that's what would have happened. A little bit unfortunate for him. The car should be able to take a bump like that, but it did look to me like a lack of concentration, because the car, he just let it ride over the car. Here it is again. Now you see he can now pull the car straight. He doesn't now, he just drives it over the curb. He doesn't need to do that, and that certainly could cost him the World Championship, that mistake.
And look at this. This is lap 3, and there is the third race leader in 3 laps, and it is Jacques Laffite, because Jacques Laffite has passed René Arnoux, who is now second, and off go Elio De Angelis and Didier Pironi in the Lotus and the Ligier, and Jacques Laffite leads, Arnoux second, Jabouille third, Villeneuve is 4th, Piquet is going through up into 5th position. Terrific stuff. Elio De Angelis, quite safe, out of his car, studiously ignoring Didier Pironi on the left, who is equally okay. And looking down again, now you can see how quickly these Grand Prix cars go as we finish lap 3 with Laffite and Arnoux closing right up on him with the terrific power of the Turbo Renault, but having to settle for second place as they go into Tarzan, the right-hander, and that's one of the very few places where you can pass on this Dutch Grand Prix circuit. And what a terrific start to the 1980 Dutch Grand Prix. Jabouille in 3rd position. Look for the yellow and white Renault. There it is. Villeneuve is in 4th position now in the Ferrari, and he hasn't been that far up for a very long time in a Grand Prix.
Yes, Villeneuve's made an absolutely storming start. He was about 8th at the end of the first lap, and he's just come right through. He's in characteristic aggressive driving, a brilliant start. There's Alan Jones still in the pits. They are changing a skirt on his car. They got the side off, and that's put him right out of contention for this race. And as I said before, that's going to be a very costly mistake indeed, because he was leading and looking in very good shape to win the race.
Well, there, the man to watch is Jacques Laffite, number 26, the man who won in Germany, 4th in the Austrian Grand Prix. Very well up in the World Championship, indeed in 4th position, chased by Arnoux.
Yeah, René Arnoux is now in perfect position to pass Laffite on the straight. He'll walk past him from there with the power of the Renault. Look, now the Renault's getting into its stride, and it's closing right up on him. Look at him go. Oh, and Laffite's moved right over him on him. That's very naughty. He kept down the left of the track. If he wanted Arnoux to go past him on the left, he should have been on the right in the first place. Arnoux had to brake, and Laffite, quite frankly, that's dangerous driving, and it's naughty. You shouldn't do that. You can't move across on the straight on somebody once you're committed, and Laffite was committed to the left.
And as Elio De Angelis walks in, disappointed but okay, let's not forget that behind these two there's a terrific scrap. There it is. Jabouille in third position now as Lafitte clears the corner, and Villeneuve seems to be missing. Look for them. Jabouille, Villeneuve now up into third position. Look, watch the corner. There is the Scarlet Ferrari of Gilles Villeneuve. He's now up into third position. And that means to say that Piquet's moved up, Giacomelli's moved up, and what has happened to Jean-Pierre Jabouille? And it would seem that Jacques Lafitte is pulling out a bit of a lead, and that must mean that for some reason or other, René Arnoux is having to slow. Now we'll see as they come up on the straight. Arnoux closing. And how wrong I was, Arnoux challenging again. Round Tarzan. Look for the third car, it's still Villeneuve, and Piquet fourth. Giacomelli is in fifth position.
Piquet's beginning to attack Villeneuve too.
Jean-Pierre Jabouille into the pits. That's not off his car because look, it's on the other side of the Armco barrier. So there's a piece missing off somebody's car as Jabouille goes into the pits, and poor Jean-Pierre Jabouille has only finished one race this year, and that was the race that he won. And now there is Lafitte leading, streaking down the top straight, fastest part of the course, one of the fastest parts on any course, and they have to come down from 180 miles an hour down through the gears. Arnoux in second position, and round they go, and that's Piquet. The white and blue Brabham is up into third place ahead of Villeneuve is fourth. Giacomelli in the Alfa Romeo is in fifth position.
Yes, well, I'm already suspicious that the Michelin-shod cars, which are the two Renaults and the two Ferraris, are slowing up. I think they've run a pretty soft compound for the race, and it seems that the tires have gone off a little bit because all four of the Michelin-shod cars' charges seem to have come to an end. Villeneuve's definitely not the man that he was for the first few laps. Arnoux is no longer challenging Lafitte strongly for the lead as he had been doing to start off with. And Jabouille's gone on the pits, and apparently for a tyre change, although he slowed dramatically, so he may have had a puncture.
We're looking at Piquet, who's in third position, but there is the part of the car. That's the car it was missing from. It's Emerson Fittipaldi in his new car. He hasn't won a Grand Prix since 1975, but now there is excitement because Gilles Villeneuve in fourth position has got Bruno Giacomelli in the Alfa Romeo right behind him in fifth. Then there is Reutemann in the second Saudia Leyland car in sixth position. There's the battle. Villeneuve, Giacomelli, Bruno Giacomelli, the young Italian who was Formula 2 champion of Europe in 1978. Alfa chases Ferrari, and look at the way the Alfa's closing, over 500 horsepower, and he drives straight past Gilles Villeneuve into fourth position. And Piquet in third position is right behind René Arnoux. This is the best Grand Prix we have had this year. Giacomelli, very steady indeed, just sliding it there, and Piquet crowding Arnoux. Arnoux closing up on Lafitte, it would seem. There are the first three. And Alan Jones is back in the running and going very quick indeed, although he is some 2.5 laps behind the leaders. But Alan Jones is setting the pace from the back as we look at Bruno Giacomelli, who has just moved up a place, and the Italian is pulling away now and closing up on the cars in front of him, pulling away from Gilles Villeneuve.
Yes, Villeneuve's definitely in tyre trouble. That must be what slowed him up. Look at the way the gap's opening. He was ahead of Piquet before. In fact, he got past Piquet early in the race. Piquet's repassed and is now challenging the leaders, as Arnoux probably struggles a little bit on tyres as well.
And behind them, there's a battle royal developing between Mario Andretti and Carlos Reutemann. There is Giacomelli, and John Watson is in ninth position, who was ninth fastest in practice, and they cross the line again. There in the Ligier is Jacques Lafitte across the line. Right behind his gearbox is Arnoux, and he pops out and has a look and decides he can't make it. And Piquet is as close to Arnoux as Arnoux is to Lafitte. Great stuff. Look for the fourth. There it is, Giacomelli and Villeneuve and Reutemann together. Reutemann ahead of Villeneuve now. Well, that's the battle to watch. Nelson Piquet is making the running as he closes right up on the yellow rear aerofoil of René Arnoux' turbocharged Renault. On lap 11, there are the 10-lap positions. Laffite, Arnoux, with very little between them. Piquet in third position. And the first 6 cars are covered by a mere 5 seconds, just over 1/7 of the way through this 72-lap race. Laffite, very steady. He has won 4 Grand Prix, and that was Piquet. Piquet's going through and taking second position. You just saw a flash of it as Nelson Piquet, the Brazilian who won at Long Beach on the street circuit, is through and passed Arnoux into second place.
That was a terrific piece of driving, Murray, because he's got a horsepower disadvantage, a bad one, to the Renault, which makes it a real problem to pass. And he got close enough. Oh, there's Jody Scheckter, possibly showing us why the South African Army refused him a driving licence. And as I say, Piquet, that was a brilliant bit of outbraking. He set himself up for that manoeuvre and did it in the right place on the circuit, because he can't do it in the normal place, which is at the end of the main straight.
Towards the end of lap 11 out of 72, and the pace is undiminished. Indeed, it is hotting up, because this is now the battle for the lead. Either on lap 12 out of 72, the weather is just about perfect. You can see the road surface is brightening as the sun comes out, and Jody Scheckter again is into the pits. The Ferrari drivers have had to change tyres in every race this year. And look at the way Piquet now is right up with the leader, Jacques Laffite. He's gone up from 6th position on lap 1 to 2nd position on lap 12.
Yeah, and he's now, Murray, in perfect position just to get the toe. He needs to be about 10 or 15 yards back to get a nice suck down the straight, and he will sweep by infinity. There he goes. And he had the perfect distance of run up. He's the 4th race leader we've had already. Look at that car pattering over those bumps there. But that doesn't worry Nelson Piquet as he takes the lead of the Grand Prix, and it's very well timed for him for the World Championship, because the Williams pit will be feeling most uncomfortable with Alan Jones out of the race, sadly in my opinion by an error in concentration, possibly overconfidence with the way he was driving. A great shame. He doesn't usually make mistakes, and Piquet's really taking advantage of it at the moment.
If Nelson Piquet wins this race, he will get 9 points for the World Championship. Alan Jones is out of the points at the present moment, and when this race began, Alan Jones led this man, number 5, Nelson Piquet from Brasilia, by 11 points. So the gap will come down, but there's a long, long way to go. Looking down, Alan Jones is still in the race, very much so, and he's coming up fast as we look at René Arnoux in 3rd position, chased by Bruno Giacomelli. The Italian is absolutely on top of his form. He took over the Alfa Romeo leadership after Depailler was so tragically killed in testing for the German Grand Prix. And Giacomelli is now in 4th position behind the yellow Renault of René Arnoux, and right behind them is Carlos Reutemann in 5th position. There it is, 3rd, 4th and 5th.
And look at Giacomelli go on the straight there. Now that's amazing. The Renault with all its power, that's a real tribute to both the aerodynamics and the V12 Alpha engine, as Giacomelli takes 3rd place by the amazing feat of passing the Renault on the main straight. Sure, he had the toe from it, but that car has got a very much more powerful engine, for instance, than the Ford V8.
Nigel Mansell, the Lotus driver, the new boy, in only his 2nd Grand Prix out of the race, looks as though he's spun off somewhere. And now, on lap 19, we rejoin, and there is Arnoux, with behind him Carlos Reutemann. Arnoux is in 4th position now that he's been passed by Giacomelli. Reutemann challenging him, and Andretti, who's had such appalling luck this season, the world champion of 1978, is catching Carlos Reutemann. Watch Mario Andretti in the blue and silver Essex Lotus in 6th position. Into the pits, John Watson. He had a terrible crash in practice, got back into the car, 9th fastest in practice, and he was 7th in the race. But it looks as though he's out of it now, because it's seemingly a very leisurely pit stop in the McLaren team.
Yeah, great shame that, Murray. One of his best races this season.
And this is the battle for 4th continuing. René Arnoux, behind him Reutemann, behind him Andretti. And they're closing up on Emerson Fittipaldi, who's rejoined the race after his pit stop. Arnoux and Reutemann. passing Fittipaldi as though he was standing still. Andretti on the right of your picture, closing up on Reutemann as they go down the straight towards Tarzan, and it looks as though he's going to try and take him.
Yes, Reutemann's making Andretti go the long way round, and he's doing the manoeuvre that I helped him to make famous way back in 1977. He got right round the outside of him. Well, that was a fine piece of driving, proving me wrong again, because I criticised him a lot for trying to do that to me, and we tangled. I felt that the guy on the inside could push, but in fairness, Reutemann is not such a hard man, and I have to say Andretti's proving me wrong yet again, because that was an excellent bit of overtaking, and that's moved him up into 5th place.
Yes, there's the confirmation. 40-year-old ex-world champion Mario Andretti in the Lotus up to 5th position, and this will rekindle his taste for Formula One.
Yeah, I still maintain that that's a difficult manoeuvre, because there's the leader, Nelson Piquet leading, and there's second place man Jacques Laffite. But I still maintain that the guy on the outside, the guy on the inside has the right to move over, and he's the one who gets pushed off in the event of a contact, and I feel it's a risky manoeuvre still.
And that's the battle for 4th between Arnoux, Andretti and Reutemann, and only 14 seconds covers the first 6, and that's an Alfa Romeo. Is it Giacomelli? No, it's not. It's Brambilla. 43-year-old Brambilla out of the race, but Giacomelli still very much into it. And again, look at this. This is the battle for 4th, 5th and 6th, and out of the slipstream of Andretti comes Carlos Reutemann, and he's going through on the inside of Tarzan, and he's going to retake 5th position, and they're
banging each other.
They're banging wheels all the way around the corner. Great stuff, and Andretti goes through and holds it.
Well, I think they were lucky to get away with that, because it's all right when the tires touch each other side to side, but when they tangle together, now we're going to see it again in slow motion. Andretti leaves the inside door open, I suppose confident that he can still do it on the outside. There's much more grip than usual off the line at this place. Reutemann grabs the opening, comes through on the inside, and Andretti fights back. But now you watch, they close up, Reutemann slides out, Andretti's the one who's going to get pushed off if anybody does. They touch wheels now. There they go, banging wheels. Reutemann sliding about, he holds it, but he can't stop the back from going into Andretti again. Now, if those tires are touched face to face, one of them or other would have been in the air, and that's the danger of the manoeuvre. I don't think that's percentage driving myself by either of them, and particularly Andretti on the outside, because you can't win a race unless you finish it, and that's asking to not finish, in my opinion.
Lap 37, half distance, looking down on that battle. Arnoux in front, 4th, and the battle continues at the front, because there is Laffite, and behind him Giacomelli has caught the 2nd place man. Now Piquet's in front on his own, but Giacomelli, driving as he has never driven before in his comparatively short career, is right up with the 2nd place man, the experienced 4 times Grand Prix winner Jacques Laffite, challenging for 2nd. Alfa Romeo versus Ligier. Round the very quick right-hander, down towards the new bends.
Yeah, Giacomelli's definitely got the speed on the straight now. All he's got to do is wait, because we've seen him, he even took a Renault on the straight. He walked past the Ferrari earlier on the straight, so he's very well placed to deal with the feed.
Now they're coming down to Panorama, and Giacomelli's going to try and go through on the inside, and he's lost it! Giacomelli's done what he did at Long Beach. He's spun off, he's come to a standstill. Jody Scheckter, who had been lapped, goes through.
That was a totally brainless piece of driving. That was really sad. Giacomelli, I'm afraid, has done it again and again.
Giacomelli gets away, driving across the grass, but Arnoux through to 3rd, Andretti to 4th, Reutemann to 5th position, and Giacomelli goes straight down to 6th place because of that spin of his. And the race is on, my goodness, with a vengeance. Yeah, the reason I say that's brainless is that he didn't want to overtake him there. Now here we see it again. Giacomelli has no need to overtake him here, because he'll do it on the straight anyway in a moment, and he locks the back wheels. That's why the car starts to snake like that. He gets out of control, the back wheels are locked, and he goes into a little spin there, and that was the most stupid thing to do, because there was absolutely no need to try and overtake Laffite there, because he had him completely sewn up on the straight that they were just about to come onto after the next corner. And he's really chucked it away, and not for the first time in his career. He's done that several times. Let us not forget that out in front is this brilliant man, Nelson Piquet, who is 28 years old and is dominating this race so much that he's had comparatively little coverage from the Dutch cameras. And Nelson Piquet, who was BP Formula 3 champion only a couple of years ago, won at Long Beach. He's been brilliantly reliable, and now he's leading the Dutch Grand Prix. Now, this is lap 48, and the fastest on the course is Alan Jones. He is still 2 laps behind, but there he is, number 27. He's the leader of these 2 white cars because he has caught the battle for 3rd position. He's passed his teammate in 5th position, Carlos Reutemann, and the gap that you see there, the 16 seconds, is the gap between Piquet, the leader, and Laffite, who is second. Don't be confused though, Alan Jones is still 2 laps behind, but he's the fastest man on the course. There is René Arnoux, and Alan Jones is coming out to take Andretti now. Andretti lets him through. Alan Jones waves a hand at him out of the cockpit as he goes round Tarzan. Andretti in 5th place. In 4th position, Carlos Reutemann is in 5th place, and Alan Jones is past both of them. He has unlapped himself once.
I think Alan Jones is a bit cross with Andretti there. He's been trying to get past him for a couple of laps before that, and being 2 laps down, he probably feels that he ought to be allowed to go, but there's no reason why Andretti should know that Jones is 2 laps down. He would have thought that he probably made a quick pit stop and is challenging for his place.
Well, the Dutch crowd here at Zandvoort is certainly getting their money's worth. And look at this group as they come down now, and it's Arnoux in 3rd position ahead of Mario Andretti, Reutemann, and in the background there's Alan Jones in there. Alan Jones is through, and Reutemann is past Mario Andretti to go into 4th position, displacing Mario Andretti to 5th, and the wheel-to-wheel battle that has been going on lap after lap between the Saudi Al Williams car goes on, and that is Derek Daly, the Irish driver, who was off at Monaco, who was off at Austria.
Yeah, he's gone straight on at the end of the straight. It looks like... yeah, he seems to be all right. He's certainly with the upper part of his body. He's getting out of the car. He's struggling to get out. It looks to me, I'm sure something has failed on the car, because he's obviously hit the barrier very hard. That's the footwell you can see with the brake arrangements all hanging off. So the whole of the front of the car is smashed off. Yeah, they're carrying him away to have a look at his legs.
Lap 61, and as they stream down the straight with Arnoux there in 3rd position, Carlos Reutemann behind Alan Jones, then Mario Andretti, and Mario Andretti's going through. He's taking Reutemann. He's doing at Tarzan what happened before. Are they going to bang wheels this time? No, they managed to keep clear, and Reutemann holds it, and Carlos Reutemann goes through into 4th position ahead of Andretti. And it looks as though, thank heavens, Derek Daly, after a dreadful crash at exactly the same place where John Watson crashed in practice, is perfectly okay.
Yeah, well, whatever my feelings on round the outside at Tarzan happen, it certainly makes for great entertainment and television. Reutemann fell asleep there, though. He just let Andretti down the inside suddenly.
And on lap 69 in this 72-lap race, nor is René Arnoux, number 16, asleep, because he is gaining on Jacques Laffite there, who is in 2nd place. Don't forget that Nelson Piquet is still in the lead by some 20 seconds. But René Arnoux, the young Frenchman, has started his great charge at the end of the race, as Alan Jones did chasing Jabouille before. And now Laffite goes through, still in 2nd position. René Arnoux is definitely gaining on him. Laffite, Arnoux, behind them, Jones, Reutemann and Andretti, and Jones still 2 laps behind. Don't forget, he's not in the points, and René Arnoux really using every inch of the circuit. If he has been relaxing in the past, he's certainly not doing so now. And the World Championship's getting more and more exciting, because it's the worst possible situation as far as the Williams team is concerned, with Piquet leading and Jones out of the points.
René Arnoux has put on a great charge over the last few laps. I think he's either turned up his boost, or maybe he's using more revs with his engine, because he could actually get Laffite from that range. That's rather an extraordinary manoeuvre. That looks like Mark Scherer in his car. I expect that he's run short of fuel, because he's waggling it about to try and get some fuel into the tanks.
So on lap 70, because that's the lap they're on now, Piquet leads by 20 seconds. This is the battle for second between Jacques Laffite and René Arnoux. Behind them, Reutemann and Andretti, and Jean-Pierre Jarier in 6th place in the Candy Tyrrell. But what a scrap it is for 2nd place. 26 Laffite, 16 Arnoux, 2 Frenchmen, 2 French cars, different engines.
Yeah, Arnou's charge has been terrific. He's really reeling Lafitte in, and he now looks close enough to be able to challenge when they get to the straight. He's got Lafitte properly set up, and Paul Lafitte must be feeling pretty uncomfortable. But if he can pass him, I suppose it'll be a little bit of poetic justice for what Lafitte did to him on the straight earlier in the race.
Arnoux
having a look there, but of course he doesn't want to try there. There's no reason with the engine that he's got in the car, his straight line speed, he can wait to the straight. He just wants to be close, which he is now. He's in perfect position, and I'm afraid Lafitte looks like a doomed man unless he does what he did earlier in the race, and I sincerely hope we don't see that sort of thing happening again.
Arnoux alleged to have a 50 horsepower advantage, and there it shows. He drives straight past Jacques Lafitte up into second position. Lafitte makes a despairing effort to come out of his slipstream and pass at Tarzan, but fails, of course. And now Arnoux only has to keep going. This is the 71st lap out of 72. Piquet leads. This is the battle for second. Arnoux and Lafitte. Reutemann now some distance behind them. There is Reutemann, and Andretti seems to be missing. I was looking at the screen then, and I was looking for Mario Andretti, and I didn't see him. Last lap, and this is Nelson Piquet.
Well, a very mature race by Nelson Piquet yet again. The car's worked perfectly for him this time. It's been superior to all the others after Alan Jones went out, and unfortunately by his own mistake, although it wasn't a bad one might have expected the skirt to survive, it was still his error. Piquet has taken the opportunity. The car's worked perfectly. He was aggressive when he needed to be in the early part of the race, and he's now cruised it properly, looked after his car, and it really is very close indeed, building to a beautiful climax for the championship. 2 points behind if he finishes this lap without further drama.
And that is going to be the closest World Championship situation since James himself won in 1976. Nelson Piquet with 3 races to go, and therefore 27 winning points still to be gained, is going to be within 2 points of Alan. That's Mario Andretti's car. Mario Andretti, and it looks from the way the car is parked by the circuit that he's either had engine trouble or perhaps that Lotus Affliction, he's run out of petrol.
I'll give Evans, he ran out of petrol.
So there goes Piquet. Watch for the checkered flag. There it is. Nelson Piquet has won his second Grand Prix this year and in his career. A brilliant drive on a car ideally suited for this Dutch Grand Prix circuit at Zandvoort. Gordon Murray designed, Ford powered, and it's done an absolutely superb job. There, the second place for René Arnoux, 6 points. Lafitte there in third position, 4 points. Reutemann behind him in fourth position. And Jarier, I think, is going to finish. Yes, there was Jarier. Quick look at him. And so Piquet wins from Arnoux. Lafitte third, Reutemann fourth, Jarier fifth, and in the new McLaren M30, sixth place to Alain Prost. So that makes a difference, does it, to the World Championship with 3 races still to go. Alan Jones 2 points ahead of Piquet. Reutemann in third place, 1 point ahead of Lafitte. René Arnoux slipping back a bit, but still ahead of Didier Pironi, who is in sixth.